I came across this video by a YouTuber that reside either in United States of America or Canada. Is into, disputing false doctrine, false teacher. He has dedicated most of his work in exposing false teachings by a lot of preachers in that region. Arome Osayi was in United States of America recently. It seems he's still there. So this YouTuber happens to visit one of the meetings, and he has a testimony about what went on. So I want us to listen to what he has to say. And when we come back, I might share one or two thoughts about what he said. So let's listen to him.
All I can say is Apostle Arome Osayi. That's all I can say. When I saw that he was in Chicago, I looked at my wife. I was still in Canada, 8 hours away. I said, listen, we're not getting on a plane. We are getting in our car tomorrow and we're leaving. Initially, my plan was to just fly out there the next day, but the prices were crazy. So I told my wife and I said, listen, we're going to get in the car and we're going to drive 8 hours to be a part of this conference. And I'm telling you, it was completely worth it. I'm forever changed. Now, this is not idolatry. This is the truth. You got to know the difference between false prophets and true men of God. I've been a part of the Negos conference for about 3 days. And I'm telling you, it has changed me. It has convicted me. I screamed, I shouted, I cried, I wept. I repented. I asked for forgiveness. I mean, this conference, it humbled me just hearing apostles speak and directing people to Jesus, directing people back to prayer and fasting. No rituals, no gimmicks, no antics, nothing unbiblical, but just simply prayer, purity, seeking Jesus, putting Jesus first before anything. The glory of God moved powerfully in the Negos conference, but the most important part was the doctrine. And there's something Apostle Arome said. He said that when there's revival that comes in the earth, the reason it stops is because it doesn't enter the classroom, right? And the reason there's a lot of wickedness and falsehood is because people are not being discipled. And when people are not being discipled, they fall for witchcraft, they fall for false revivals, and they do not know how to keep a revival going. Because a revival fire is supposed to spread. So Apostle was just discipling us, mentoring us, teaching us. And I'm sitting there in all humility. And I respect this man of God because he is a real man of God. And also he stands for the truth. He calls out people and he said that his life has been threatened for exposing falsehood. And we know that's happened with me as well. And I'm telling you, my soul was crushed. God crushed me today, humbled me today for all the right reasons. I'm telling you, I was crying. I was crying. And it was worth driving 8 hours to be a part of that. Listen, it's different. Being in person is completely different than being online. In person is a different experience, especially today on Saturday. What took place was unbelievable. The deliverance. I'm talking about real healings. I'm talking about, you see these things, real testimonies, raw, no falsehood, no skits and antics, no talking to demons for 30 minutes and making a show. The glory of God was made manifest. There were certain miracles that took place, and Apostle Arome wasn't even praying for these people. And he said, this is all Jesus. I knew nothing about this. Giving the glory back to God. And I've studied Apostle Arome's teachings over and over. This man is a man of God.
It's actually a good thing that this is coming from a YouTuber that have dedicated his time towards fighting falsehood and letting people to see the true teachings of Christ according to scriptures. Now, if you listen to him very well, you could actually hear him when he says this is not this is not idolatry, because somebody might want to say you are preaching a man of God, you are baptizing a man of God. Why not you focus on teaching the scriptures? And I was like, come on. There's this new wave, should I call it a doctrine, new wave that is currently flying everywhere. And you always hear people say, you should know God for yourself. And this know God for yourself, what it actually translates to mean is that they are subtly pushing for people to stop listening to men of God. And this is because of so many falsehood we've got to see in the altar. Now, in as much as I am against falsehood, of course, we always keep talking about any kind of false doctrine, falsehood. As far as we see them on our space, we talk about it. The same way we should also understand that God uses people to propagate his gospel. As a matter of fact, if there is no need for us to listen to preachers, there won't have been any need for God to make some persons pastors, or to give some persons as pastors to his flock. Okay, the word of God made it very clear. He said, I will give unto you pastors that are after my heart. If there is actually no need for us to listen to preachers, there won't have been need for God to make some special persons apostles, special persons prophets, special persons pastors. And not just only that, they are also being anointed by God, consecrated to do that work. Some persons might want to say we are beginning to magnify a man of God instead of magnifying Christ. Come on. Even the Lord himself, at a point in time when he appointed Joshua to lead the people to the promised land, he got to a point, he said, look, Joshua, this day will I begin to magnify you before the eyes of the people. Because this is Joshua standing as a representative to God. Okay, I understand some persons might want to argue in those days, it's just only the prophet that have access to, to the Spirit of God. Unlike that we all have access to the Spirit of God. Yes. But one thing you should understand is that if God was able to magnify Joshua in his time, God also can still, and he's still in the business of magnifying those who he has appointed as preachers over nations, over life. As a matter of fact, one of the ways God tends to do this thing is to give them visibility. And that is why you get to see a lot of these preachers becoming so popular. Their messages is going viral everywhere. It's because God has decided that these ones that represent me truly, without gimmicks, their messages will be heard everywhere that Christ needed to be preached, because God cannot come down himself to begin to teach people. God will definitely and always use men. More so, you must understand that Paul was very clear when he said that you should follow me, even as I follow Christ. So don't come and tell me that we are following men. Come on. Jesus was very clear when he says, go into the world and make disciples of men. What does it mean to make disciples? If I have disciples, what does that mean? It means those disciples are to understudy me, understudy the ways of life, understudy my teachings, understanding the patterns of my life. And as a matter of fact, not just only being a role model, but being their life tour guide. So when you get to see people, publish messages of genuine preachers, you don't have to blame them. And also, most importantly, don't fall for people that tells you, know God for yourself. I have nothing against knowing God for yourself, but you should also know it is not everything God will reveal to you. There are some teachings God can place in some men that you must, of a necessity, be part of a church and listen to them. St. Paul speaking somewhere, he said, he was giving advice. He said, you should take heed to the flocks which God has made you overseers. So what does that tell you? God is still in the business of making people overseers over flock. And if God makes you overseers over flock, it means he is given that overseer words for his flocks. He is giving them pastures for his flocks so that they can feed their pasture. So in general, when you get to see us, agree to some men of God, especially those who we know genuinely are true men of God. Just like you can see what he said now, what you get to see about a preacher on camera is different from what you get to see them on ground. So this is a man sharing his experience, and some of these preacher, the likes of Apostle Arome Osayi, a lot of persons have criticized him because of him standing up against falsehood. Some of you don't even know this man. It's only when you get closer, or when you even pay attention to listening to his teachings, his messages, then you will know that truly God still have people, genuine men of God, not just only Arome Osayi. There are a lot of them that are not given to falsehood, that are not given to manipulations. So don't fall for people that, in case you are beginning to drift, your mind are beginning to categorize all preachers to be the same. No, there are a lot of them, and I have numerous of them that I can start mentioning, aside from Arome Osayi. Numerous of them that God is still using. Now, this is not me trying to magnify a man, no, of course. But one thing I'm saying for sure is that God uses people. It is through people that God pushes his message. So I do want to know, what you think about this, right? Make sure to leave your comment on the comment section. Until next time, when we come your way again, I say bye-bye.